Hello and welcome to Craftiosity, the subscription box of modern craft kits. This month we're making a stitched Shibori dyed tea towel. Inspired by the Japanese art of Shibori, where you bind or stitch fabric before dyeing it, we'll be creating our own version with fabric dyes. Wherever the fabric is bound or stitched creates areas the dye can't reach, making beautiful and surprising results. Inside your kit you'll find your cotton tea towel, your safety gloves, your salts, your fabric dye, and a wooden stick, sewing needle and sewing thread. You'll also find full step-by-step photo instructions. Before you start the project, wash, dry and iron your tea towel to get it ready to dye. To get the long running lines of stitches we created in our tea towel, fold your tea towel across the length at regular intervals. Run your fingertips over each fold as you do them to create a pronounced crease. Cut off a length of thread about twice the length of your tea towel, then thread your needle and put a knot at the other end. Starting at one end of a creased fold, sew into the fabric catching both sides and sew a running stitch, so in and out in a straight line, about half a centimetre in from the folded edge. Continue to the end of the line, then leave a length of about 30 centimetres of loose thread. We'll come back to this later. Then realign the next crease in the fabric and do the same thing with a new piece of thread, sewing a running stitch across the entire length. Repeat this across all the long folds in your fabric, and in our example we had 5 long lengths in total. Once you've done that, pull the loose end of each piece of thread, so that's the end without the knot, and work the fabric down towards the knotted end. It should be tightly creased up together like this. Then tie a knot in the loose end of the thread so the creases will hold securely. Repeat for the other long lines of stitches and your tea towel will look something like this. Soak your tea towel, then leave it damp to one side. Fill a basin or bucket with approximately 6 litres of warm water. Then fill a measuring jug or a jar, so one that you would use for crafting, with 500 ml of warm water. Place 250 grams, that's half the packet in your kit, of the salt into your larger basin. Pop your protective gloves on now and mix it around until it dissolves. Then dissolve your entire packet of dye into your jar of 500 ml of warm water and stir it with the wooden stick. Add the dye water to the larger basin and stir them both together. Put your damp tea towel into the basin of dye so it's covered and stir it regularly for 15 minutes. Then stir it occasionally over a further 45 minutes. Be careful not to splash the dye while you do this. If there's any dye on the edges of your sink or around your workspace, mop this up quickly so it doesn't stain. After 45 minutes, rinse your fabric in cold water. Use scissors to snip the knots off the binding threads and remove these from the tea towel. Wash the tea towel again in cold water. Then rinse it in warm water until it runs completely clear, then squeeze out any excess water and dry the tea towel away from direct heat and sunlight. Just in case there's any dye left in the tea towel, place an old towel or fabric scrap underneath where you're drying to catch any drips. Once your tea towel is dry, iron it again and wash it separately for the first few washes just to make sure there's no excess dye left in it. Well done, your stitched Shibori tea towel is complete. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, subscribe to our channel or head on over to craftiosity.co.uk to sign up for our newsletter for regular inspiration and tutorials into your inbox.